What's going on, Senpai Squad? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we've got the episode review for episode 70 of Boruto, and I don't think this will be an overly long review because, in all honesty, I don't think I've got that much to talk about. In short, the episode was a good episode. It was better, much better than the Chocho arc by 1,000,000%, and it is kind of annoying that we're only going to get the one episode towards it. However, I do understand it. It's a lot like that Enogen episode that we got ages ago, where it's like almost a carbon copy of it to a certain extent, I guess. Not a carbon copy in the sense that it was bad and that they've run out of ideas and they're reusing it. It's just more kind of like the same core elements, you know, all that. And in all honesty, like I said, I don't have a great deal to say. It wasn't a bad episode by no means at all. Was it anything special? I'll go over the points I liked. I loved seeing Guy. I think this is one of the first times you've seen Guy properly in the series, if not the first time you've properly seen him. I can't quite remember, but it's great to see Guy. Also at the start of the episode, when Lee kind of shunned away Metal, I can't call Rock Lee Rock. I always refer to him as Lee. I don't know why, just saying Rock sounds weird. So whenever I say Lee, I'm referring to Rock Lee. So yeah, when Lee shunned off Metal for kind of like having anxiety, I don't know what I thought. I didn't think it's a bit of a dick move, but at the same time, it didn't feel like Rock Lee, if you know what I mean. I didn't get that vibe, and I was like, yo, Lee's changed. What is this? This is not the Lee I fell in love with. But by the end of the episode, it all comes clear. Lee's just back to being Lee. We saw that in the end hug between Guy, Metal, and Lee. That was so wholesome. I love that. I may even be using that for the thumbnail of the video. Honestly, at this point, I have no idea. One thing I want to touch on, is Iwabe stupid? Is Iwabe stupid? So there's this bit where Guy says to Iwabe, do you remember the difference between ninjutsu and taijutsu? And Iwabe's like, oh yeah, ninjutsu goes boom, and it's like Guy has to explain to him what ninjutsu and taijutsu is, and I'm like, are you stupid? Are you stupid, Iwabe? How did you graduate if you don't know the difference between ninjutsu and taijutsu? Didn't him and Denki like teach each other? Didn't Denki teach him like math and all this and arithmetic, while Iwabe taught him about jutsus and ninjutsu? Wasn't that a thing? How does Iwabe not know the difference? I thought that was incredibly stupid. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see the point in it. There was no point in that to be in the episode whatsoever, apart from just being a line of utter stupidity, in my opinion. But it is what it is. They put it in there. Not much I can do about it. Just thought it was a bit stupid. Maybe there's a reason for it. I don't know. Let me know. One thing I do love about Iwabe, however, is that he's a fanboy. He's like us in the anime. He's a fanboy about all of the OG characters. Seeing him talk about Guy, saying, just call him Mr. Guy, which just sounds really weird. Mr. Guy. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but seeing him fanboy over all of them is so good. And seeing Guy take this lesson in front of the young students. He was talking about the time in his war and how he was able to fight alongside Naruto, blah blah blah. And then he says, I fought the most difficult opponent I don't know if he said he'd ever faced or just anyone had ever faced in general, but he's talking about an opponent, and straight away I was like, boom, Madara. He's like, his name was. And then he forgets his name. And this kind of annoyed me a bit because that leads me to believe he was talking about Kisame, which if he was referring to Kisame, that's completely fine, because we know from Shippuden that Guy can't remember who Kisame is in Kisame's name. Madara, on the other hand, I think if the writers have written Guy to forget Madara, then that's also really stupid. I don't understand how you could forget Madara. And I'm not saying that because, oh, he's a badass. How could he forget who Madara is? God. It's because Madara genuinely should be written in the history of the Narutoverse forever. It should be a legend that everybody should know. Everyone should know who Madara's name is. Same with Hashirama, the Sage of Six Paths. Like, Madara's up there in Shinobi history with those. You know? Kisame I can understand. You're not going to chuck Kisame in there with the Sage of Six Paths and Madara and Hashirama and Naruto. Madara on the other hand, so if he was talking about Madara and he forgot his name, a little bit annoyed. If he was talking about Kisame, go for it. That was fun to see. Seeing Guy in action again, it was great to see, because although I think it's a little bit of an aspel how, I say a little bit, a massive aspel how he survived through Shippuden, and part of me does think, you know, he could have done with dying, and I love Guy. I think he's an incredible fan. One of my favourite characters in Naruto and Boruto, but you know, he probably could have died in Shippuden. It was a bit of an aspel, a big aspel, but seeing him in action again in today's episode, it was nice to see, you know, seeing him take on Lee, Metal Lee, and Iwabe. Seeing Metal Lee, we kind of got like a little teaser of him doing, not the drunken fist, but one, I mean, the anxiety fist, could you call it? That just sounds weird, but he does these unpredictable movements because he's so anxious, he's so nervous, and he's flailing all around the place that he starts doing these unpredictable movements. And we see a couple of them against Guy, but in the end he gets bodied by Guy. And then we see Lee approach him saying about, if you want to do the 8 Gates training, because by the way, I forgot to mention, all of this is because Lee turned him away at the start, saying you're not ready for 8 Gates training, because Metal was relying on this gold chain to relieve him of his anxiety problems. It's something that is a bit silly, but it does kind of make sense. I can see where Metal's coming from. Young, it's the type of thing you would believe in, but Rock Lee turns him away and says you're not ready for this. But basically, after Metal Lee spends the day with Guy Sensei, Guy does a similar thing to what Ino did, or Sai did with Inojin, where he gives him the answer to his problems, but also doesn't give him the answer to his problems, if that makes sense. He kind of, he's got it there, it's there, he's given it to him. Now Metal Lee, all he's got to do is kind of unscramble it and put the pieces together, and then he's found his answer. That's basically what Guy Sensei did. And then the next day, Rock Lee approached him saying, I'm going to challenge you, and all you have to do is lay a hit on me. And can I just say, that fight versus Rock Lee should have been over after literally point of a second. The very first thing that happened in that fight was Metal Lee punched Rock Lee. Straight away. The very first thing that happened was Metal Lee made contact with Lee. So why the fight carried on, honestly, I have no idea. Metal Lee won literally in point of a second. So, I don't know, maybe I misread that. Maybe I must have done, because it doesn't make sense. Metal Lee literally won in 0.1 of a second, because the first move he did, he went bang, landed a punch, bang, he landed another one straight after. So, I don't know. This is then when we see Metal Lee go full anxiety fist mode in the fight versus Rock Lee. Rock Lee can't predict Metal's moves whatsoever, and honestly Metal is oblivious to what he's doing as well, because everyone's laughing at him, because at the start he was getting bodied, even though, like I said, he'd won already. He was getting bodied, so everyone in the crowd was laughing at him, all the kids, so he started to get very nervous, which is acceptable. And then he started to do all these unpredictable moves. Well, while in the process of doing all these unpredictable movements, he actually got so worked up and had such an adrenaline rush that, completely oblivious to the fact that he did it, he managed to go first gate, unlock the first gate, and he knocked out, well, didn't knock out, but he sent Rock Lee flying. And honestly, I pray to God that Rock Lee let Metal win as soon as he noticed he went first gate. I think he did. I'm sure as hell bloody hope he did, Because if Rock Lee gets one-shotted by a 12-year-old going first gate, then I'm sorry. But what have they done to you, Rock Lee? What have they done to you if that's the case? I am so sorry. But, like I said, I do think he kind of went easy on him. And it wouldn't surprise me if Rock Lee kind of picked up on the fact that Metal Lee hit him in his first shot. And that's probably why he let him, as soon as he goes first gate, let him win. I don't know. But, yeah, I believe he probably did let him win. As soon as he saw he opened the first gate, he probably caught on and thought, right, boom, I'll let him win here because he's conquered his anxiety. I mean, we saw at the start of the fight, there was this really cool shot where Metal Lee, because he had like 3 of these gold chains at one point, and he just tore them off and went straight in, firing at Metal Lee. I kind of wish we got to see who his mum was in this episode. I mean, I'm pretty sure it probably is 1010. He does resemble 1010 to some degree. So, I mean, I just kind of want confirmation at this point. That's all. I've come to the fact that it is 1010, but if we can just get some confirmation sometime soon, that'd be great. But that's mainly it for this episode. Like I said, it was nothing special. It wasn't terrible. It was just kind of one of those good episodes. I don't really think there's a better word I can use to describe it other than just a good episode. Nothing more, nothing less. The preview for next episode, we see another 5 Kage summit going on. I presume to talk about the Momoshiki attack and whatnot. Obviously, Onoki wanted to be shown around the Hidden Leaf Village. I'm really excited to see this. I don't know why, just because I feel as though Onoki is going to be one of those old guys who's going to be like, well, back in my day in the war. And I really hope he does tell Boruto and Sarada and all of that some old war stories. Maybe even mention Madara. That would be fantastic. But, I mean, just want to put this out there that give or take a year or two maybe, but Onoki is now, in Boruto, 94 years old. Fully predict him to be dead by the time skip. But that's it for this review. If you did enjoy it, make sure to smash the like button, leave a comment section down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. I feel as though some people are going to come at me for not saying this episode was amazing. I just thought it was a good episode. Nothing more, nothing less. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in another video. But until then,
it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, salt and pepper and every day up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rapping back, Mr.